What's good, people? Sam O'Reilly with a Fight Talk podcast in association with Round Date. Me, Craig, and Kevin today. No guest. This is a bit of an impromptu podcast. We got. I think it's safe to say I was inspired to do a podcast for a couple of reasons. That fight last night that we're going to go into a bit more detail about, I can't stop thinking about it. It's blown my mind. Leon McKenzie, Cello Renda, and I just wanted to talk boxing really after that thing. First of all, Kev, how are we, mate? You were there last night. Did you have a good night?
Yeah, brilliant night, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Probably one of the best small shows I've ever been to. So, yeah, really happy I went, and really good night.
Mr. Scott, Craig, you were there with friends you'd brought down from Scotland. What did you all think of the show?
I don't know, mate. I'm still trying to recover emotionally from a couple of those fights. The Joe McIntyre fight against Liam Conroy was an absolute barnstormer for however long it lasted. You just said it, mate. The Leon McKenzie Cello Renda fight. Oh, I don't even know how to sum it up. I don't know. I'm the same as you, man. That's all I've been talking about. Like my missus and my mates and that are all like, "All right, we get it, man. It was a good fight."
Yeah.
It's just nuts. And then the thing I liked about the card last night was there's a few stoppages as well. So even the undercard, there was a few stoppages, and it was good to see quite exciting debut from Yusuf Kamari. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it,
Yusuf
but I
Kamari,
thought he looked really good as well.
Yeah, very good, very good. Do you know, I haven't been able to watch. There was 2 or 3 fights after that McKenzie fight last night, and I was just in the bar talking to people, mostly your Scottish people. But I haven't even watched Usyk. I haven't watched Chocolatito. I've read about it all, but I can't bring myself to watch another boxing match after McKenzie Renda because it ain't going to live up to it, and it's just going to upset me.
It's just ended your career.
I think it has, because nothing's going to live up to that anymore. That's the best fight I've seen. I'm 100% live, definitely, but I'm trying to think of a fight I've seen that I've watched ever where I was up and down more than I was during that fight. It was fucking insane.
Do you know the one that came to mind for me that I thought to myself, have I seen a better fight live? Probably not. Have I seen a better fight on TV? And the only one that really stuck in my mind was Chisora White. Yeah,
that was a great fight.
Yeah, Chisora White was a cracking fight, but I don't think it didn't have the bite, and it didn't have the intensity. I don't think as that one. You know, for me, round 3. I think it was round 3, or was it round 4? But when he took so many unanswered punches, and I thought the ref was going to jump in, and obviously he didn't. And how he recovered from that,
Renda,
I'll never know.
Yeah,
Renda. How Renda recovered from that, I'll never know. You know, just phenomenal. And then, you know, Leon McKenzie for the next 3 or 4 rounds, definitely just sort of took over. And then, wow. You know, he was so dangerous, Renda, though, with that left hook, wasn't he? He was so... Every time it landed, it sort of just shook McKenzie to pieces, didn't it? And, it was... Yeah,
let me try and sum it up properly for people that won't have seen it. Obviously, it was a small hall show, so it won't have been televised. It's not on YouTube. You said you looked for it this morning.
Yeah, I looked for it this afternoon as well. It's still not there.
Yeah. Now, I know Goodwin filmed their show, so I'm hoping at some point Steve or Kev, their head of boxing, decide, look, that is an unbelievable advert for our product, and I think we should probably put it up on YouTube and get some interest in it, because let's sum it up. You know, the 2 guys, if we're being honest, Southern area is... and probably, you know, rightfully is their level. Do you know what I mean? I know McKenzie fought for the English last year against Jermaine Smile and lost narrowly, but it meant the world to the pair of them, didn't it? And that was apparent from round 1. And like you said, in round 3, McKenzie had Renda. I thought he was out. Not out. I thought he was going to jump. The ref was going to jump in because he was taking a lot of unanswered punches.
Yeah, but I mean, round 3, the start of round 3, Renda was the one doing the damage as well.
Yeah. That's why it was just so. It was backwards and forwards for the first 3 rounds, they were both shook. You know, 2 or 3 times around. It wasn't just one punch here, one punch there. They were 2 or 3 times around, it was awesome. You didn't know who was going to go, and that was the thing. You know, that's what made it better. Every time Renda landed, it looked like McKenzie stumbled and legs went.
Yeah.
And every time, you know, McKenzie, you know, the only thing that let McKenzie down, I think, was he didn't, you know, maybe it's just an amazing chin from Renda, but he didn't have that same one-punch power. He needed to land, you know, 6-10 punches before he got Renda stumbling. But just, yeah, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Renda had that combo that it was a very simple combo that it worked for him a lot. Left hook to the body, left hook to the head. I mean, every single time you could see the effects on Leon instantly.
But between 4 and 8, I think Leon McKenzie was just taking that step back.
Yeah, he boxed a bit.
He hit him to the body. He'd hit him to the body, but he knew it was coming to the head, so he'd just take that little step back, and Renda would miss. And I think that was what turned it around. But then I think, you know, maybe McKenzie just got a bit tired after doing 4 rounds of actually moving and boxing, and yeah, the finish was another thing, wasn't it? So
I actually said to my mates after the 3rd round, because I was going to watch it with you guys next to the ring, and I said, fuck it, I'll go up and watch it with them. And I said to my mates after the 3rd round, if this is the best first 3 rounds of a fight I've ever seen, if it goes 10, it might be the worst 7 rounds that follow. Because I thought to myself, they've used up every bit of energy. They've thrown everything in the first 3 rounds. They cannot possibly keep going. And in every single round, there was a bit of excitement, and rounds 8 and rounds 9 were just fucking mayhem, absolute mayhem.
It was amazing. I'm still giggling with excitement now. It's ridiculous, but it was by far it was the best fight I think I've seen. I said top 3 to you yesterday, Sam, but you know, that was without me thinking about it. But thinking about it now, it's probably the best I've seen. I would say I'd put it up there, definitely. It's 1 or 2, that's for sure.
Yeah, the stoppage came in the 9th round for Cello Renda. I think it was a culmination of things. I think the exhaustion had got to Leon. He was fucked. He'd thrown everything, and he was up against the ropes. And Renda landed a lot of shots. I don't know. You know, I was behind Leon, so I couldn't see exactly the effect in his. But you know, when he went down, he obviously stayed down, rolled over, and he was hurt. And it was bad to see. You know, I mean, the fight deserved an ending, a definitive ending, because what I didn't want was it to go to the scorecards and it be a draw, or who knows what the score was at that stage. God knows what it was being scored as. But yeah, it brings up another question. I spoke to Martin earlier from the New Age Boxing podcast, and I gave him a question that I wanted him to answer on his podcast, and it's one that I'll put to you two. You saw Leon McKenzie's son and his daughter extremely emotional, obviously. When you see, you know, they saw their dad laid out in the ring on oxygen for a little while, and the emotions were unbelievable. So, for you, let's start with you, Craig. Do you think there's a case for not bringing kids and close family to your fights if you're a professional boxer?
I think the thing that got me probably more than, I mean, obviously Leon's was a bad one, and Leon was on oxygen and stuff, but when I was backstage interviewing someone, I seen Joe McIntyre, who'd been heavily knocked out. He took some fucking shots, man. He'd been heavily knocked out, and his son is a lot younger. His son's maybe like 4 or 5 years old. He was there with a little backpack on. That's how young he is.
Wow.
And I seen Joe McIntyre cuddling his boy, and they were both just crying to each other. And that kind of got me more than the McKenzie one. They were freaking out because of the medical situation, which is completely understandable. But for me, the emotional impact that could have had on that young boy, I don't know, man. It's a tricky one. It's all good when you're winning, but when something bad happens, it's a double-sided coin, really.
Yeah, Kev, what do you think on it?
Again, it's a tough one, isn't it? You know, it's. I agree with what Craig just said. Then I think when you're winning, it's great to have your family around you, isn't it? But you know, not everybody's a Mayweather. You know, and you're gonna have fights where you get hurt, and there's gonna be, you know, and you know, with Leon McKenzie, just getting into boxing, you know, being in boxing for a few years, it's for, to understand that. I think if he was in boxing since he was 18 and his kids were, at that age and they've seen him box for 15 years, it might be different. But I think it's a tough one, isn't it? Especially with kids, because you can't blame the kids for reacting that way. Especially like we were close, Sam. We were literally sniffing his feet, weren't we, mate? We were that close, and at one stage his legs were jerking like he was having a fit or something. I don't know if he was or not, but at one stage it was really bad, mate. It's I don't know, mate. I didn't like it. I didn't like sitting there watching it myself. Let alone seeing the kids then running, trying to get into the ring, security holding them back. And mind you, the security did a phenomenal job. Well, they were awesome. There was at one stage, I think there was about 10 people trying to get into the ring. And I think there was like 2 guys there, and they were fantastic, holding them back, but not just holding them back. They were explaining the situation, explaining that let the doctors do the job and calming them down. I think that the security were phenomenal.
That was
I've never seen it. I've never been that close to it.
That was Andy Brown. He's the head of security, and he's a top man, and he's very good at his job. Obviously, he was having to be firm. You saw Leon's mum come up, but he was just saying, literally, let the medics do their job. Like, the truth is, if his son and daughter had got in the ring, what would they have done? They'd have just been in the way of the medics trying to look after him. So,
100%.
Of course,
100%. But the way he handled the whole situation, hats off to him, mate. He was phenomenal. He literally calmed it all down. And as I say, it was him and another guy, and there was probably 10, 15 people trying to get in that ring, and emotions were high, and the way he sort of calmed it all down, fantastic. Brilliant.
I thought, I just want to say 2 things on that. I think a lot of praise has to be given to Wadi Camacho as well. Yes. Camacho was in the front row, and Leon's daughter was losing her mind again, understandably. And instead of holding her back or grabbing her back, like the security,
he put his arm around her and gave her a hug, didn't he?
He took her by the hand, gave her a hug, and he walked her round the ring apron, took her round to Leon's corner, stood with her, spoke to her, and just totally diffused the situation. I thought it was fantastic, and he's a man who's been in some fucking wars himself, so he knows the impact that it can have. And the other thing I wanted to say was about John Pegg. John Pegg, for anyone that doesn't know John Pegg or know who he is, he's not one of these guys that's always on IFL videos or whatever. He's Sam Eggington's head trainer, Cello Renda's head trainer. He works out of Birmingham, a gym in Birmingham. From where I was up in the high seats, I could see everything, all the areas of the fans and stuff, and the Renda fans were going absolutely mad. And again, you know why they were. It was a big fight. We wasn't supposed to win the fight, and he came and won it. And as soon as John Pegg realised that Leon McKenzie was in trouble, he ran over to every area of the fans. He was in the ring. He went over to every area of fans that were shouting and singing.
Told him to be quiet.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up, man. And everybody got silenced. Everybody got silenced.
I must say, I didn't even notice that, Craig.
Yeah, I saw it myself, and
unbelievable.
It went from they were singing Renda songs to silence in a second. And I thought respect to them as well, for doing that, and respect to him for actually having the nuts to walk over there and say, shut the fuck up,
It's so easy to get carried away in that, particularly as a trainer as well, and for me that's boxing. That's what boxing should be, humility. I thought it was really good to see.
On a slight highlight, as I was leaving yesterday, Renda was leaving as well.
I saw it. I was at the top of the steps watching. Yeah, I saw it.
It was awesome, right? He left. He was walking out, and literally there must have been about 50 of his fans out there. All started singing this song, and he was carrying this silver briefcase. Yeah. And they were all saying, "Get it out, get it out." And he stood there and pulled out the bell, and they put him on his shoulders, and it was like a scene out of Rocky. It really was. He was getting carried down the road holding his bell. I took a couple of photos. It was unbelievable to see it, But no,
I loved it. His fans were so pissed. They got the words wrong. They were singing "One Cello Renda." They kept getting the words wrong. I was thinking,
yeah, it was so funny.
It was brilliant. Do you know what?
But it was an awesome scene. It really was.
The respect between the two guys has been unbelievable. First of all, like you say, for them, I thought Cello's fans. I didn't notice John Pegg sort of tell him to calm down, but when I saw Leon get up, everybody applauded, and then rightfully so when Cello lifted the belt up afterwards, Leon's fans applauded him. It was superb, and for two men to give what they gave in that fight, I mean, I tweeted Leon. I said, us mere mortals can only comprehend the heart and desire it takes a fighter to put that kind of performance on. I don't know if you know, Kevin. Leon's, I think it was always going to happen. He's retired officially today.
Yeah, he retired. Yeah, this afternoon or this morning or whatever. Yeah,
and
I saw it. Yeah. I
said to him, "Listen, the respect you've come in from another sport, and you've gained everybody's respect. And this is a man that suffered with mental health problems. He's an inspiration to a hell of a lot of people, and he has to be extremely proud of himself. So, a massive pat on the back to Leon McKenzie, and congratulations to Cello Renda.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, what a fight! I think everybody needs to see the fight, and I think it will be an internet storm. I really do. I think it's sad that it wasn't televised. That's the thing, because I think everybody in this country will be talking about it today if it was.
Well, that kind of takes us on nicely to a couple of the questions that we had. Again, from Martin, who we were sitting with last night. What a fucking guy he is, eh?
I love that. Boy. I fucking love him. He phoned me last night. We're both on the motorway on our slogs home, and I get a phone call from Martin. He's on the way back to Milton Keynes. I'm on the way back to Essex, and we're just talking again about what we've just seen. And we're just saying, fuck. Like, fuck. We just sat and watched it all, and then you just have to digest it. Martin's an absolute legend. And Terry Chappendama, the Seven Wolves, was there as well.
The Seven Wolves was out.
Seven Wolves
was in attendance.
I love Kev. These are two of the. Honestly, I listen to their podcast every single week, and they're just two. Not only are they knowledgeable as fuck, because Terry called most of the upsets, but they're just good fucking people, man. I got so much love for those boys, and they give us a lot of love back. So I love the boxing world. Do you know that? Since we've been in boxing, some of the people we've met, like fucking Rob Martin last night, Rob Cass, who gave a big shout out to Kevin as he walked in the door.
Oh mate, that was hilarious. Honestly, I took my auntie, my uncle, and my missus for the first time, and I'm walking through and I'm talking, and I just hear some guy in the background, Kev, and I turn around and I'm like, hello? He's like, it's Kevin from the podcast. And he's talking to like his missus or his mates, and he's like, it's Kevin from the podcast. And I was like, you alright, mate? He goes, yeah, it's Rob. He goes, I'm your biggest fan. He goes, I've just met Sam as well. I can't believe it. This guy was so excited. I was a bit overwhelmed. I was like, listen, it's lovely to meet you. He's like, keep doing what you do, mate. I love it. I'm like, no problem, mate. Cheers. I'm like, bro, walked off like, what the fuck has just happened? But big shout out to you, mate. Big shout out to Rob. Fair play.
He's a great guy.
He's a legend, mate.
He's a great guy.
Fantastic.
Good night. Great night last night. Really good people. Martin, Terry, and then you got Craig Spider Richards was down, Linus is down, boys like that floating about as well. Just a really good night overall.
Yeah, definitely. So I took your thunder a bit about Martin's questions.
Yes. So we're talking about TV. Martin said, list two things that you think TV companies are missing out on by not showing a card like Goodwin's Heaven or Hell card last night.
Yeah.
Sam?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this since he sent it over this afternoon. Now, I tweeted out last night that, listen, TV companies, you need to wake up and you need Goodwin main events on your television. If I'm going to sit here and be 100% honest, I go to every single Goodwin show, and what Goodwin they have a lot of build fights, a lot of young guys up to make their name, but their main events are genuinely 50-50 fights, and last night's proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Joe McIntyre and Conroy, unbelievable fight when the heavy favourite got stopped, and what we've just said about McKenzie and Renda. I'm pretty sure there has to be a broadcaster somewhere that can look at Goodwin's main events from a boxing standpoint and say, you know what, that's value for money. So I think just the main events, we're going to see David Hayes, Haymaker Ringstar. They're going to be on Dave, but they're going to be only televising an hour or two. I think 2 hours of the actual fights. There's going to be a lot of fights on the undercard, but there's only going to be a couple of hours shown on the television, and that will be the main events, obviously. So, listen, why not? Why not? When you watch that and you see the genuine 50-50s you see in their title fights and their main events, then there's definitely room somewhere for somebody to put on these fucking genuine 50-50 fights. How many 50-50 fights do you get on an Eddie Hearn show or on a Frank Warren show? You know, they've got their big stars, they've got their under guys, but how many genuine 50-50s do we see?
You say that, Sam, but most of the main events ain't even 50-50s. Do you know what I mean? Most of the, you know, like you look at someone as in Frank Warren. You look at Anthony Yard. He ain't had a 50-50 fight yet, mate, and he's been the main player, hasn't he? You know, he's
up there. Yeah, I know what you mean, but he hasn't really been the main event itself.
You know, he's one of their main players, isn't he?
And Dubois, of course.
You know, Dubois as well. He hasn't had it. So I agree 100%. I think they're missing out. I really do. It's just such a shame because there's been a few as well. You know, absolute crackers that have just gone under the radar. And I think it's a disservice to the boxing fans and a disservice to the actual boxers that are putting that in as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing for me. You know, me as a fan, I'd love to see more boxing on telly, naturally. But I think it's just such a disservice. You know, them two guys, you know, they deserve the whole of the world talking about that fight yesterday, and no one knows about it.
Without putting these things on, I think that, like, the whole point, I completely agree. We all want, as boxing fans, want it to be on TV, but think less with a boxing fan's head on and think more with a TV executive's head on. What are they missing out on by not putting it on? They're not missing out on a massive fan base because these guys on these shows don't have a massive fan base.
Yes, that's true.
So what are the TV companies missing out on? I don't think they're missing out on much.
No. It depends. It depends if you're a TV station that shows boxing, I guess. So if you're someone, I'll use ITV as an example. They seem to be increasing their boxing portfolio lately. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to get some sort of traction in the boxing world. Now I know they've just got the World Boxing Super Series, so it kind of defeats the argument. But someone who's wanting, let's not forget. I've said this. Frank Warren. Box Nation, BT Sport, right? They're doing their big shows on BT Sport. Why couldn't they have a 2-hour show that's shown from York Hall? It's a Goodwin main event on their Box Nation channel.
Sam, I've had this conversation with you a number of times about the Box Nation show channel when it first came out. You know, they promised you a show every week and all this sort of all this to get you 10 quid and stuff like that. I know it's all changed now, but they promised you all that, and there was about 6 weeks, 8 weeks where they had nothing on. You know, and it's like there's so many good shows that are going on. They could just put something on. You know, it doesn't. You know, you're paying your subscription for it, or you were. You know, it just didn't make sense. But you know, we had that discussion probably a couple of years ago. About, you know, why aren't they putting on small hall shows that are on a Saturday, you know, just to fill it rather than watching Steve Bunce again. Yeah. You know, Steve Bunce's hour that's been on 6 times that week. You know, it's the same thing. It doesn't make sense, you know, but I don't know how it's going to break in, but I think it needs to.
Do you know what? I should have done it.
I'm sure there's a lot of Kevin Smiths out there that love boxing and would watch any shit, but that's, you know, it's good. You know, that's the frustrating thing. It's good and it's not being shown. But then you get a show that comes on and it's absolute pants and it's televised and you think, it just don't make sense.
I should have had a look what was on their schedule. Sorry, Craig. I was just going to say 9 o'clock last night. I wonder what was on Box Nation. Do you know what I mean?
Probably a repeat, a boxing classic from fucking 1980, whichever. You know, that's what's on. Probably. On Fridays and Saturday nights. It's boxing classics.
It's interesting to see this new dynamic that Mickey Elliott has established with Cyclone. I don't think that can do any harm. Mickey Elliott's now doing a show in conjunction with Cyclone. We know Steve Goodwin is now doing he's helping out and helping with the matchmaking on the Haymaker Ringstar card. I think that could be a way to break some of these big fights onto TV platform. So your small hall promoters establish a sort of link, you know, like a feeder club almost, for like football teams would have like a feeder club where you send guys on or you link up and you do this and you do that. So it's almost that they can use them as a channel. And I don't know how well that will work. I think the big thing for me is I went to a Dove Box show recently, and I went to a Mickey Hellick show not too long ago, and they were two of the worst fucking shows I've ever been to in my life. They were absolute dog shit. And if you put that on my TV, I'm never going to go to a small hall show. You have to be very, very careful what you put on, because you're appealing to a potential ticket buying audience, and that's the danger.
Very true, very true. Let's look at John O'Donnell. You've hit the nail on the head there. John O'Donnell's last fight against Eric Ocheng, I thought was a brilliant, brilliant fight. Now he's got Temuka Mucha, and it's on the Haymaker Ring Star, so it's going to be on terrestrial TV. Let's hope it's as good as the Ocheng fight. But again, people wouldn't have seen that Ocheng fight. It wasn't on telly. It was at a small hall. You know, hopefully someone can look at Goodwin's title fights. And I know what you're saying. You can stink out the place and fuck yourself. But how many of Goodwin's main events let you down, if we're being honest? Because I'm talking about Wadi Camacho, Arthur Iqbal that we were all at a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
John O'Donnell, Eric Ochieng, McIntyre, Conroy last night, Renda McKenzie. These are for Southern area and English titles that they mean the world to these guys. And they're both usually around the same kind of level. It's not often you get an Anthony Yard versus Chris Hobbs for the Southern area. Do you know what I mean? Frank Warren's kind of dipping his... And now they're going to have Dubois, AJ Carter. But predominantly, they're usually 50-50 fights. They'll be a favourite, of course they will. But that's usually the guys' levels when they fight for these titles. So I just hope someone can look at it.
I think that's what makes Steve Goodwin a really good promoter as well, isn't it? He seems to get these every time, doesn't he? Or sort of, 8 times out of 10, he seems to get the right people against the right, the right fighters against each other. It's as I say, he's for me, it's for small hall, it's fantastic. It really is.
Craig, what so you can't see any... I know what you're saying about TV missing out. If you look at it from the business point of view, but can you see any reason that they would then? Why would they want this on their channels?
Listen, if you work for a TV station and if you know anything about what these people who produce shows or organise schedules and stuff are looking for, they're looking for shows that are either really different and stand out, or can bring in a viewership that makes advertising worthwhile and makes all that stuff profitable. Now, a small hall boxing show, even though you might get a Cello Renda, Leon McKenzie once a year, and let's have it right, that's been the only fight like that this year.
Yes.
If you get up once a year and you put on a couple of average fights, and I just don't know. I don't think people at TV studios would argue with you if you showed them the clip of that fight. I think they'd say, "Fuck, that's a great fight. We'd love to have that on TV." But if that fight goes on for 27 minutes, 25 minutes, or something like that, it was on for, I just don't know why. I don't know how they would ever feel the need to buy the whole show or to take on a schedule of small hall shows. I don't know where the profit is for them, and I don't know where the benefit is, because the names aren't big enough. So the names that are fighting on these shows aren't big enough.
Yeah, it's very true.
The promotion around these shows is not as big because they're not done by someone who's bankrolled by Matchroom or whatever else.
Yeah.
The interest they generate is less. So, as much as I'd love them to be on TV, and I'm a Kevin Smith of the world. I mean, I'm not Kevin Smith. There's only one Kevin Smith, but I don't know where their need is for it.
Yeah, no,
do you think,
there is no
do you
need.
think as a boxing fan, and we're all boxing fans, but do you think if you weren't going to a show, or let's say you're up in Scotland as an example, because you're Scottish, obviously.
Yeah, no boxing up there.
Yeah, but there's no boxing on telly. But there's a small hall show on Spike. You'd watch it, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah.
Because I would. So there's 2 of us out of 2. Sam, I'm sure you'd watch it if there was no other boxing on. I'm sure you'd watch it.
Yeah,
so
I probably would.
The average boxing fan that tunes into the Box Nation, the Sky Sports, would they tune into that? I think 90% of them would.
Nah, nowhere near 90.
I think they would. I honestly do.
I think 20% is generous.
I think you've got casual fans, but I think you've got real boxing fans, and I'm not talking about the millions of fans that watch a Sky Sports show. I'm talking about the real fans
that
watch every boxing event, the hardcore followers that watch every event that's on telly. you know, there's a lot of them, and if you got 50% of them to watch the small hall shows, I think it's big numbers.
I wouldn't imagine there's more than 20,000 hardcore boxing fans in the country. Deadly serious. When I say hardcore, I mean that they watch it regularly. They, you know, I'm not saying people that just sit and watch an IFL interview with Dillian White calling Derek Chisora a donkey. I mean people that know their boxing, they watch their boxing, and they appreciate what boxing really is. 20, maybe 30,000, but I can't imagine it's a great number. But for someone like Box Nation, who call themselves the home of boxing, that's the fucking slogan on their channel. They've got BT for their massive shows. Excellent. Box Nation should be, in my opinion, showing fights like last night. Just the main events. Just the two major fights.
How has Elliot got fights on Channel 4 before? Because I seen your Byfield Eric Ochieng was, I think it might have been a replay or something like that, but it was shown on Channel 4 on some sports section or something.
I don't know. I'm going to be speaking to Mickey Elliott this week. I might ask. Obviously now he's gone with Channel 5, isn't he?
Yeah. But that's not a bad shout, Craig. You know, that's not a bad shout. Even a replay, you know. It's, as I said earlier, instead of watching Bunts 6 times a week, if the small hall is good, throw it on. You know, what's stopping you? Throw it on. You know, throw it on for people to see.
Do you know what? You could do a small hall roundup. Box Nation could have a small hall roundup on a Friday night or a Monday night or a Sunday night of everything that's happened. That's not a bad idea. You can have highlights.
I would tune in and watch it. You know.
But it means putting cameras around multiple places. There's got to be money problems. Like Craig said, how much money are they losing?
But then do they need to? Because as you said, Steve Goodwin films it.
Yeah.
So he could have an agreement. I'll send you the films. You look at all the fights. You watch them. Tell me what ones you want. I want X amount from it. Boom. There he goes. Make a few quid. Sells his video on. I don't know what the right answer is, but it feels like it's a bloody shame. You know, as I say, the last two that I've been to, you know, Arfan Iqbal, Waddy Camacho, that deserved to be shown, and just because it was a banger, you know, and last night the two fights, the two main events, or the co-main event and the main event, were just phenomenal. I think they definitely deserve to be shown, and I think boxing fans deserve to see it. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know. No one knows how to get it on. But there we go.
Yeah. What else we got to talk? We've done 33 minutes on last night's show. Did you as Usyk? They showed the replay on on ITV Box Office this morning, didn't they?
Yeah, they showed it. Yeah.
I haven't watched any of it.
He fucking battered Marco Huck.
Yeah. But Huck is coming to the end, and he has been for a few years now. I think he's been living off his name, hasn't he? But listen, Usyk's amazing, isn't he? He's such a level above the rest, isn't he? He really is.
Do you think he could win heavyweight titles?
I think if he put on a bit more weight, I think he'd beat Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
You know,
I think he'd beat Joseph Parker right now.
Maybe. You know, so yeah, definitely. With the current champions that are there now, he could win a heavyweight title without a doubt.
He's fantastic, man.
I saw a clip of him. He did a funny little dance, but there was one point where he came out. He dropped Huck, didn't he? But they were due to touch gloves or something. He just fucking hit him with a left hook and dropped him. Fucking hell. He's a strong man, isn't he? He's
solid.
I don't think he's going to have any problems winning this tournament. I really don't. He's going to be unified champ pretty easy.
I don't know who he fights next. I'm not seeing who he fights. I don't know who it's between for his next opponent. I'm not sure, but I mean, I don't.
So if you're a cruiserweight in that Super Series, you're like, what's the fucking point? I'm going to just go home now, isn't it? You are though, aren't you? You're like, I'm going into the ring now to get an absolute hiding. It doesn't matter how much you believe in yourself.
I know.
You can't. When you see him opposite, you're just looking, going, Jesus.
I tell you what,
be a hard night.
Tony Bellew did some smart business by getting the fuck out of Dodge, didn't he?
Hold on a second. I think you'll find Tony Bellew as the WBC Emeritus Champion, mate.
It's a made-up word, mate. It doesn't really matter. It's bollocks. What do we think for Bellew's next? Like, if you're Tony Bellew, yeah, you're it's money fights now. I can't remember who I had this discussion. It might have been you, Kev. Like, he achieved, in my opinion, more than he ever should have. Who, if you're him, do you try and get one crack at the heavyweight title, or do you take the massive money fight at the Hay rematch and get the fuck out of here, Craig? If you're Tony Bellew, what are you doing?
I think if he's only got one fight left in him or two fights left in him, you want to try and get the heavyweight title, don't you, for the resume? The Hay fight will always be there. I mean, let's have it right. He won that Hay fight easily, so I'm just waiting.
I'm trying a new. I'm trying to control my anger better lately.
In all seriousness, the Hay fight will always be there, won't it? Hay's the money maker. He's the one that brings the money. So Bellew, I think, should try and win Joseph Parker's world title or Hughie Fury's world title. I don't think he should try and win any other version of that world title. But also, I feel as though if a fight is not made for that, you know, they're saying that David Hay is going to fight the winner of that fight. So if a fight is not set up for that quickly, I think he should move on and try and chase the money fight, because he's not at an age where he can be wasting time with politics.
Something crossed my mind the other day. The WBA regular title. Now, I don't believe it's a world title, but some people, when they win it, tend to say it is. That was due to be fought for between Shannon Briggs and Frezequendo. Frezequendo.
Yeah.
So that's not happening now. I wonder if Eddie can work some magic, get Bellew ranked in number 5 of the WBA, and get him a crack of that title against, I don't know, maybe Oquendo himself or Povetkin, or I don't know, someone. Wouldn't surprise me. And Eddie's a bit of a magician, isn't he?
Yeah. Kev, what do you think?
I'm just a bit, fed up with it all, if I'm honest. I'm fed up with, in the ring, David Hay was like, I will bow down and do everything, I know you're the A side and all this, and now he's saying he wants more money. Well, I don't want to go too much into David Hay, because obviously we've got someone on here. We've got someone on here that would end up, going down or something. But it's I don't know. I just get frustrated with him. He lost the fight. Doesn't matter how he lost it. He lost the fight. He should be bending over backwards now, because I don't see how he moves on without beating Bellew. I don't. And he needs to right that wrong if he can, and I know you think he can, Sam, very easily, but he needs to right that wrong first, and if it means him taking 20% or whatever it is,
fuck that.
Take the 20%,
fuck that.
Shut the fuck up,
no way.
Take the 20%, shut the fuck up, win, and then move on and get a big money fight.
No way. No way. There's no way. Listen,
that's my view.
Let me take the emotion.
30%, 40%, whatever it is. Take it, shut the fuck up, right the wrong, move on. That's it.
I don't think you can disagree with this point, right? Whether you like him or not, I love him, you hate him. It's fine. But Craig just said it. He is the money. He brings the money to the fight.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
but
why
he also lost.
Why is
so right the wrong. Right the wrong.
He doesn't need
That's
to.
What he needs to do. Mate, do you think he can go to his grave knowing that he lost to Bellew and never had the rematch? I think it would eat him up till he's an old man, and he would end up being a real bitter old guy. I'm telling you, because he knows he lost to Bellew, and I think it would eat him up. They'd end up fighting when they're 60, and it'd just be a waste of time. Like
Collins and Ben.
Collins and Ben, it's going to happen, So to get it done now, get it out of the way, move on quick, done, if he can. Yeah. The jury's out for me whether he can actually win that fight. I'm
hearing it's December, Kev, and December's only 9 months after an Achilles rupture, so that is fucking quick.
So now you're making excuses. If it goes again, it's too early. Here we go. Jesus, he's already started. Look at him.
Craig, am I wrong though, Craig? Let me ask Craig. Craig, am I wrong in saying, surely if you bring the money to a fight, you should get a fair cut of it? Am I wrong in saying that?
You're not wrong in saying it. I think David Hay was probably wrong in what he said in the ring after the fight.
Yeah. He was.
I think he was too desperate to appeal to the public's nature. I think he realised that Bellew somehow had become the fan favourite of the two.
Bizarre.
And I think he just wanted to try and appeal to the audience and the crowd.
He's done it twice because he made a rod for his own back against Klitschko by bringing out his little toe.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. I can't deny it. His biggest fan can't deny the way he did it. Looked a bit, he shouldn't have done it. And in the ring afterwards, he was trying to be so apologetic. The better man won, and I'd have a no. We all know what happened. We saw what happened, and you've gone that desperate for a rematch. You said things you shouldn't have said. In the cold light of day, he sat down and seen. Weirdly, he's still the A-side in this fight. I don't care because he's in a better position now than Bellew is. Bellew's scrambling around for big fights.
I think you're slightly missing the point. Yeah, I think I agree with everything that you say, but the fact is, Bellew doesn't need the rematch. David A does.
If he wants to retire with a nice cushy pension.
And I think that's the key. I think that's the key thing here. Bellew doesn't need it. Bellew can go and fight potentially Parker or Fury, or go and fight. He could go down and fight Usyk. He could do. He's got options. David Hay has not one option at this stage. He needs to do this fight, and whether it means him swallowing his pride and not going on his yacht for a week because he can't afford the petrol, and just taking the fucking fight, just to right that wrong. He needs to swallow his pride and just go, do you know what? Okay, I agree. I'm fuming. I'll come out second. You can have the gloves. You can come out whatever. He needs to just shut up, do it, prove everybody that he can actually still be a world champion, because he keeps saying, I want Joshua in 2019. Mate, you need to get over Bellew first. And if he is the David Hay that we watched years ago, Sam,
the greatest cruiserweight ever.
60-70% of that guy, I'm sure he'll beat Bellew. I'm not sure he's got that 60-70% of that guy in him because of injuries and because of age. That's the difference. I think he just needs to swallow his pride and just take it. Obviously negotiate as much as he can get, but don't. When it's stopped, just take the fight, sign the contract, mate. That's
why are we all jumping to the conclusion that Bellew needs the money fight? You don't think Bellew has already made 10 times more than he was ever thinking he was going to make?
100%. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't need the fight.
His commentating goes down quite well. People quite like him on commentary. He's got media options. I don't think he needs to fight for money, Sam. I think he'd happily just fight somebody else and get a world title shot.
That's the thing. He doesn't need David A. David A needs him. Tony Bellew would happily never fight him again and be in the record books. I beat David Hay.
Yeah.
So he ain't bending over nowhere for David A.
The reason I believe he needs it, I'll tell you why. I think he is quite good at commentary, actually. I think it's a good career path for him to take when he's finally done. But he's come out and said he's not done. Yeah, so we know he's going to fight again. Now, on the resume, going for the heavyweight title is probably the best bet. But there's only one champion he can challenge. He's already said Wilder and Joshua are too big for him, right? So it only leaves Parker. And Parker and Fury situations going. Would they really want to work with Matchroom for a voluntary straight away for Bellew? Who knows? There's a lot of shit. But my honest opinion is, if you want to have one more big money fight to leave the sport with a retirement fund like no other, because how much do you reckon he earned for the initial fight? $1 million? 2?
I think it was more, mate.
2 mil, maybe?
I think it was about 2 million, yeah.
Well, there's only one man that gets him on pay-per-view to get a free £4 million payday this time, and that's David Hay. So he doesn't need David Hay. No, I agree with you. He doesn't need him if he wants to go and look for another world title, but he needs him if he wants to go out with one more fight to earn big money, because there's no one else in the world for him.
Then again, mate. He could quite easily go back and fight, Usyk if he
no money in it. No money in that.
I think there is money in that fight, mate.
None.
I think if Usyk looks amazing during this World Series, I think Tony Bellew then starts doing what he does on Twitter and all that. I think it is a big money fight, mate. I think people watch that fight. I think people pay for that fight. I really do. I'd pay for it. I'd pay for it as well, Craig. And I'm sure there's 1,000 people watching this video that's saying they'll pay for it as well.
We know you pay for it, kid. If you pay for fucking Mickey against the undercards, mate.
I'm going to have to go through, and next podcast, I'm going to have to actually tell you the worst one I've ever paid for. Actually, I can probably say it.
Cleverly and Bellew 2 was the worst one I've ever paid for.
That's in the top two, but I reckon Brooke Gavin was the worst one I ever paid for.
Oh, I don't know. The undercard was alright though.
Yeah, no, I mean main event.
Was David Hay Audley Harrison pay-per-view?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, that one was number one, without a doubt. You just reminded me.
That's one.
Yeah, that's number one, without a doubt. But yeah, that was awful. Absolutely awful.
Do you know what's
I
worse?
actually lost £20.
Yeah, you backed Audley.
Because I backed Audley Harrison. Only because he was a local lad from the same area I was from. I believed the hype that big left hand was going to come, and it never left his pocket. Fucking hell.
It never left his pocket since the Olympics.
Oh, mate. Well, it did against Sprock once, didn't it?
Oh, he was...
No, that was actually his right hand, wasn't it? Because his left shoulder popped out.
It was a joke, man.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. So, yeah, no, that was a bad night for me. So I paid for the boxing and lost 20 quid. So, yeah, that's definitely the worst ever. 100%.
Oh, dear. Craig, have you watched all the boxing? Have you watched Chocolatito?
Yeah.
Talk me through what happened, please. I've like I said, I ain't seen nothing, but I know he lost. Talk us through the fight, mate.
Even in the changing room before coming out, he looked very pensive, very nervous. Didn't look comfortable at all. The walkout wasn't looking anybody in the eyes, just walking in a world of his own. Ring announcements and songs and stuff were playing, and he looked as though he was going to cry. It was a bit weird.
I thought the same.
Yeah, even the commentators observed it, and I think it was Darren Barker said, I was watching it with my missus, and she said, "What's up with him? He looks like he's about to cry." Straight after that, Darren Barker went, "He looks like he's about to cry." So she now thinks he's some fucking boxing oracle now because she said that.
Yes, Chrissy. Big up, Chrissy.
But Saw Rungvisai just came out, and I think he found out everything about Gonzalez that he had to find out in that first fight. I think he found out that Gonzalez couldn't hurt him. He found out that he could stand toe to toe, and he's a bigger man. And Gonzalez was throwing a lot of shots. It was a bit of a war for a few rounds, but the two shots that he got put down with were pretty heavy, man. Pretty heavy. Really,
I think
really
we talked about it, I think, last podcast or the one before, and you sort of get to your level, don't you? And you step up, but you get to that stage where it's just not, you've gone too far, and I think that's his level now. He's gone too far. I think he needs to go back down.
Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt. You get to that level where they punch harder, they're that much bigger, where you can't rough them up, or you can't move away from them like you used to move away from the guys that were similar size, and it's a tough one, isn't it? But he's had a couple of warnings that it's just too far. He needs to come back down and reign again, definitely.
I think that Superfly card though last night was fucking tremendous. You had 3 super flyweight fights. You had Carlos Cuadras fought one Manuel Estrada or something Estrada.
Yeah,
that was a great fight.
Yeah, that was a great fight as well. Definitely.
Fucking Michael Buffer called out the wrong result, didn't he? He announced the wrong winner.
Did he?
How gutted are you? How gutted would you be if you were the guy that just raised your hand?
Well, you'd be fucking embarrassed because he was up on somebody's shoulders waving to his fans and all that, and then he went, "Oh, sorry, we announced the wrong winner." They had to bring him back down off somebody's shoulders.
Dear, it's like Miss Universe all over again, Steve Harvey.
Exactly. And then you had Naya Inoue was fighting Antonio Nieves, and he's a danger, man. He is a danger. The Japanese super flyweight champion, WBO. Yeah, he's fantastic. He looked very, very good last night as well. It's a great card, a great idea, and I'm looking forward to the one again, the next triple header with Lubin fighting Charlo.
Yes, that's
Lara
a good fight.
Imperial Bosca. It's just a great idea of having 3 strong fights. It's really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. Just let's just finish up and just look forward to next Saturday's boxing. Obviously, we've talked Canelo Golovkin to death. In one word, Kev, who have you got for that one? I don't even think I've asked you yet.
Golovkin.
Okay, I'm Golovkin as well. Craig is Canelo. What about the Box Nation card? We now know Anthony Yard's opponent. It's not a guy ranked higher than Buglioni, or sorry, not Bug.
Does anybody actually know him? Nobody knows who the fuck he is.
His mum knows him. It's just,
I've got a clue.
yeah,
Terrible fucking management.
the man's name's Norbert. I mean, that's all you need to know. His first name is Norbert.
Wasn't that an Eddie Murphy film?
That was Norbit.
Oh, okay.
So Anthony will get another first round demolition of a fighter he's nowhere near his level. He's still not got the big British fights that I want to see him in. I believe he's the real deal, but he needs to be pushed now. It's getting silly. It's getting really, really silly. Umar Sadiq's making his debut on that card. It's a good card.
He's a good boy.
Yep, and Lerone Richards, my good friend, he's fighting on it. He's not now fighting. He's going to be fighting Jermaine Smile, but that's not this week now. So his next fight is going to be Jermaine Smile. He's just going to have a warm-up fight this coming Saturday.
Good fight.
He was
good
on.
good fight.
Yeah, he was on Buncey's Boxing Hour on Friday, and for some reason Buncey called him Donovan Smile. But yeah, it's just definitely Jermaine Smile he's going to be fighting. They're looking at getting that sewn up for his next fight. So he'll go 9-0 this Saturday and then ready for the big fight. So yeah, Lerone's a top boy, man. I've got a lot of time for him.
Indeed. Can I just say, this Box Nation card, can everybody just keep their fingers crossed, keep their hands clasped, keep your eyes shut and pray to whoever you pray to that all we see is AJ Carter getting stopped by the referee and that we do not see anything else happen.
Yeah.
Because as it gets closer and time ticks by, that fight really scares me, man.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Kev will be here at my house that Saturday. The only reason I'm not going to that show is my 30th birthday, so I'm having a little soiree around my home, barbecue, and we'll have the boxing on. But yeah, I don't want to see AJ Carter sprawled out, and let's just hope he gets out of there safely, and that's the main thing. And main event, Billy Joe, Willie Monroe, good fight. I like it a lot.
I like that fight a lot as well. I really do. Billy Joe's excellent at what he does. Willie Monroe is very, very similar, isn't he? Another fantastic fighter. It's a 50-50 without a doubt, I think. What do you guys think?
I think it's a very, very close fight. I think it depends on the day, what frame of mind Willie Monroe turns up in. I think people have kind of questioned his mental fragility, with the Golovkin fight. They say he sort of gave up a little bit, or he lost faith in himself. Coming over here, facing a crowd like Billy Joe's crowd, we'll have to see how he deals with that. But he's got the tools to beat Billy Joe, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Billy Joe looks like he's been on a special diet. So
I think with Billy, with Willie though, I think if you look at what Willie and Billy, Jesus, I think with Willie Monroe, I think you would lose heart against Golovkin though. I don't blame him for that. But Billy Joe Saunders doesn't punch hard, and that's the thing. I think I know he knocked Andy Lee down a couple of times, didn't he? Which was a shock to a lot of people. But I think with I'm not sure he's going to lose heart from that. Maybe his work rate and the amount of punches he throws, I don't know. But he's quite slick himself, so it's very interesting, isn't it? I'd love Billy Joe Saunders to win, but for some reason I'm swaying towards Willie, definitely.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
Yeah, I said it the other day in our new boxing season special that we did on the channel. I think Willie Monroe has the key. I think like you said, Golovkin hits so much harder than a lot of people, and I suppose it's easy to go, you know what, I've had enough. But I don't think Billy Joe will be able to break him like that. So
yeah, I agree with you, Sam. I agree 100%.
The other on the same night, there's actually the Callum Smith fight. Are you going to watch that? Are you going to record that? What are you doing with that, Kev? Are you going to watch it?
Well, I'm round yours, aren't I? So if it's on, then yeah, I'm watching it with you.
Oh, it ain't going to be on. No, it ain't going to be on. I can't stand Callum Smith.
What do you expect me to do?
Well, you record everything.
Pay for it when I'm round yours.
It ain't.
You know?
It ain't on pay-per-view, is it?
No, it's ITV4, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
is
right.
it?
Yeah, so you'll record it and watch it when you get home because you ain't watching it here.
I don't know, mate. I might be switching when you're out having your 15th burger, mate. I might be switching over.
I need something to soak up the alcohol.
Barbecue situation as well. Is it a proper barbecue, or is it just a couple of burgers and sausages? Are we talking like steak? Are we talking like coleslaw? Are we talking about potato salad? Are we going all in, or what are we doing?
I spoke to my meat man. It's a proper barbie, but
Lovely. That's our mate.
Listen,
mate, I'm on a diet all week. That's my cheat day. I'm on it.
I checked with the weatherman earlier. They reckon it's going to rain, so we'll all be sitting around the dinner table just fucking passing a burger around or something. I don't know.
It'll be a barbie from the oven.
Yeah.
I never want to hear you refer to any of us two as your meat men. I don't. That phrase is freaking me, man.
If you're a proper man and you have a grill and you like to do barbies, you have a meat man. Everyone knows that. Oh dear, listen, I think we've blabbered on long enough. It's been 57 minutes. And at least 35 of them were talking about Leon McKenzie and Cello Renda.
It deserved it, mate. It deserved it.
If you can catch it anywhere, anyone, watch it. I'm going to phone Goodwin tomorrow and ask him to upload it because it deserves it and it's a great advert for their product. This obviously was just a bit of an impromptu one, no guest, but I think you'll all agree Kevin's special enough to be the standalone star on this week's episode.
Yep.
That's it. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll catch you soon.